Hey, this is your bestie in grief, Ashley. Welcome to the Calm Sphere podcast, your official go-to safe space where we talk about grief, healing, mental health, faith, and nervous system support in a way that feels honest, gentle, and most importantly, human. You don't have to have it all together when you're here. You just have to show up, and I'm really glad you chose to do so today. Okay, so if you have been walking through the grief protocol with me, welcome back. This is step 3. And if you are brand new here, I'm really glad you found this. But before you go any further, I do want to encourage you to go back and start from episode 5, which is called the intro to the grief protocol. It will just show you the full picture of where we are going and why all of this works together, and it should be done step by step. Today we are going somewhere that I think is going to hit you really differently. We are talking about your mind. Specifically, we are talking about what happens inside your head when grief takes over, the thoughts that will not stop, the ones that replay on a loop at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, the voice that tells you that you do not deserve to get better, and the guilt that shows up when you even think about choosing a happier life. We are talking about that spiral, and today we are going to learn how to silence it. So let me be upfront with you really quick, because this is not going to be a think positive and everything gets better type of episode. I don't believe in that. I have lived through too much to sit here and tell you that slapping a smile on top of grief is healing or growth. It is not. What I do believe in is this. You do not have to believe every thought you think, and that one idea right there has the power to change everything. So let's get into it. Let me paint you a picture. You are going about your day. Maybe you're doing laundry or sitting in traffic, or you're just trying to eat breakfast, and then out of nowhere, a thought shows up. Maybe it's a memory of the person you lost. Maybe it's a question you will never get an answer to. It could be a feeling of guilt or fear or worthlessness that just drops into your brain like it owns the place. And before you know it, one thought has turned into 10 thoughts, and 10 thoughts has turned into 100. And now you're sitting in a literal full spiral far away from the present moment, completely overwhelmed and feeling like you are never going to get out of your own head. That right there is the spiral that we're talking about. And here's what I need you to understand about it. Your brain is not broken. Your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. Because, see, your brain's number one job is to keep you safe. That's it. And when something traumatic happens, when you lose someone you love, your brain goes into high alert. It starts scanning everything for danger. It replays the scary moments over and over again because it thinks that if it can just figure out what went wrong, it can prevent it from actually happening again. But this is the problem. It can't. Your brain can't do that. The loss already happened. So your brain just keeps looping and replaying and scanning and asking questions that have no answers. Scientists call this rumination. It's like a hamster wheel in your brain that just keeps spinning and spinning. And the harder you try to stop it or push the thoughts away, the harder that wheel spins. It's like telling yourself not to think about a pink elephant, and now you are thinking about a pink elephant, right? The spiral is not a character flaw. It is not weakness. It is a brain that loves you so much. It will not stop trying to protect you, even when protection is not what you need anymore. So I want to tell you what that spiral looked like in my own life, because I think it's important you know that this is not just information I read in a book or online. After I lost my sister, my brain became a machine that replayed the worst moments on a constant loop. I would replay the day we found out she was gone. I could feel it in my body every single time. The moment it happened, when the police told me, when I fell on my knees, the way everything shifted in an instant. And I would just replay that over and over again. And then the questions would start. Was she scared? Did she think about me when it happened? Did she do it on purpose? Why did she trust that person? Why didn't I not do more? What if I had called her that day and pushed harder? What if I had said something different the last time we talked? And those questions would lead me somewhere even darker, to guilt, to anger, to a place where I started to believe that I did not deserve to get better. Because here's the thought that really wrecked me, and I know I'm not the only one who has felt this. My sister never got the chance to choose a better life. So who was I to choose one myself? That thought played in my head for a very long time, and it kept me stuck, not because it was true, but because I believed it without questioning it. I let that thought sit on a throne in my mind, like it had authority over me, and I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn that a thought is not a fact just because it shows up in your brain. And this is what I wish I knew way earlier in my grief journey, and it is going to sound so simple, but you need to really sit with this. You are not your thoughts. You are the person who notices your thoughts. Listen to that again. You are not your thoughts. You are the person who notices them. Think of your mind like the sky, and your thoughts are clouds. Some clouds are light and fluffy and they float right through, and some are dark and heavy and they hang around way longer than you want them to. But no matter what kind of cloud it is, the sky is always still there underneath it. The sky does not become the cloud. It just holds the space for the cloud to pass through. Does that make sense? You are the sky. Your thoughts are the clouds. They will come, they will feel overwhelming at times, but they are not you. And they do not have to run your life. And here's the thing that really blew my mind when I really started to understand it. About 90% of my negative self-talk wasn't even mine. Our negative self-talk is not ours. It is borrowed. It came from somewhere else, from things people said to us when we were kids, from bullying, from trauma, from the ways our families handled pain, from the messages the world sent us about whether we were worthy or not. So when that voice in your head says you are not enough, or you do not deserve better, or you will never get through this, I want you to ask yourself one question. Where did that thought come from? Is it something you actually believe about yourself, or is it something someone did to you or said to you that got stuck in your head and started to play on repeat? Most of the time when I ask myself that question, I realize that that thought is not mine. It is old programming, conditioning, a story someone else wrote about me that I had been reading as my own. I'm going to bring faith into this conversation right here, because this is where everything clicked for me personally. There is one Bible verse that I kept coming back to over and over again during my stage of initial transformation. Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. I want to break this down because there is so much packed into this verse, and I think most people read it and they get the surface version of it, but the deep version changes everything. First, it says, do not conform to the pattern of this world. What does that mean? It means this world will try to shape how you think. It will tell you that you are not worthy, that your grief makes you weak, that you are too broken to be loved or used by God. The world has a pattern, and that pattern is built on comparison, shame, fear, and not enoughness. And Paul is saying, do not let that pattern into your mind. Then it says, be transformed. And this is the part I really need you to hear. The word transformed in this verse comes from the Greek word metamorpho. I think that's how you say it, which is where we get the word metamorphosis, like a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. This is not a small tweak. This is not adjusting your attitude. This is a full, complete, inside out change. A new creature, a new way of seeing everything. And it says transformation happens through the renewing of your mind. The word renewing means a complete renovation. Not a fresh coat of paint, not a new throw pillow, a full renovation from the inside out. Your innermost thoughts, your deepest attitudes, your most automatic feelings about yourself and the world, all of it rebuilt. And here is what gets me the most about this verse. God wrote about renewing the mind thousands of years ago. Long before therapy existed, long before neuroscience proved that the brain can change and grow and rewire itself through new thought patterns, God already knew. He already knew that the mind was the battleground, and He already gave us the instruction manual. You were not meant to be a prisoner to your own thoughts. God builds a way out, and it starts with the decision to renew one thought at a time. Before we get into the tools, I want to address something directly because I know it is living in the back of someone's mind right now, the guilt of choosing to get better. I felt this so deeply. My sister was gone. She did not get to choose healing or growth. She did not get to choose a better life. And every time I started to feel a little bit of hope or a little bit of okay, this guilt would rush in and shut it down. Like I was betraying her by daring to feel good. And I want to say to you what I wish someone had said to me. Choosing to grow through my grief is not a betrayal of the person you lost. It is the deepest form of honor you can give them. Think about it this way. If the person you lost could speak to you right now, would they want you to be stuck in guilt and darkness for the rest of your life? Would they want you to punish yourself with your grief? Or would they want you to live, to grow, to become someone who takes the love they gave you and pours it into everything you touch for the rest of your time here? My sister struggled with her mental health her whole life, and she would have given anything to feel free from her own spiraling thoughts. She never got that chance, but I do. And the best thing I can do to honor her is to take that chance every single day. You are not leaving your person behind by healing and growing. You are carrying them forward with you. I want to pause for just a second because I know we are going deep today and I do not want you to miss a single episode of this series. If this podcast has been helping you, the most important thing you can do right now is follow the Calm Sphere wherever you are listening. That way you never miss an episode and the next step of the protocol is always waiting for you. And if something here has hit you, if you have had one of those moments where you thought, wow, I have never thought of it that way or have never heard it put that way before, I would be so grateful if you took 2 minutes to leave a 5-star review. Reviews help other women who are in the middle of their grief find this space, and that is the whole reason I am here. I also want to invite you into my email community. I share extra tools, behind the scene things, and resources that don't always make it into the episodes. The link to sign up is in the show notes. And speaking of show notes, this episode and every single episode of this series comes with a free downloadable guide. This one will be called Silence the Spiral. It has all of the tools and mindset shifts we are talking about today laid out in one simple page. You can save to your phone or print it, put it somewhere you will see it. Grab it in the show notes right now. Don't forget. Okay, let's keep going because the second half of this episode is where the real toolkit comes in. Okay, so how are we actually going to quiet the spiral? These are the tools. You now understand what the spiral is and why it happens. You understand that you are not your thoughts. You have Romans 12:2 in your back pocket. Now let's talk about what to actually do when the spiral starts. These are real tools, ones I have used personally and ones that are backed by research, and they are simple enough that you can use them today. Tool 1, name it to tame it. I love using these corny little titles for my tools and resources because I just feel like it sticks. It is cheesy, but it is something that you are going to remember. So tool 1, name it to tame it. This is one of the most powerful things you can do when a spiral starts. You simply name what is happening out loud or in your head. You say, I'm having the thought that I do not deserve to heal. I am having the thought that she died because of me. I am having the thought that I will never be okay. Notice what I did there. I did not say I am not okay or I do not deserve to heal. I said I am having the thought that. That little shift puts distance between you and the thought. It reminds your brain that the thought is something passing through you, not the truth about you. It is like holding up a sign that says, I see you, you are just a thought, and you do not run things here. Neuroscientists call this cognitive diffusion. It interrupts the spiral by pulling you out of the thought and into the observer seat. You are the sky again, watching the clouds. Tool number 2, ask the thought one question. When a negative thought shows up, ask it this: where did you come from? Is this something I actually believe about myself, or is this something I was taught to believe by my experiences, my trauma, or someone else's words? Most of the time, you will find that the thought is old. It is borrowed. It is not yours. It came from a bully in middle school, or a parent who did not know how to love well, or a world that told you your worth was conditional. And when you realize that, the thought loses its power. You can look at it and say, that is not mine. I am giving it back. Tool 3, replace, do not just resist. Here's something I learned that changed the game for me. When you try to push a negative thought away, it gets louder. Fighting it directly gives it more energy, and the brain does not do well with resistance. It does better with replacement. So instead of telling yourself to stop thinking about something, you give your brain something true to think instead. Not a fake affirmation that you do not believe, not a post-it note on your mirror that you stop seeing after 3 days. Something real. Something that comes from your heart, something that you can actually feel the truth of, even in a small way. For me, it was scripture. Romans 12:2, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am never too far gone for God. I read one verse a day that had to do with hope, love, or who God says I am. And I let that be the replacement thought, not because it erased the pain, but because it gave my brain somewhere else to go besides the spiral. Tool 4, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding method. When the spiral is really loud and you cannot seem to get out of your head, this tool pulls you back into the present moment in about 60 seconds. Here's how it works. Look around wherever you are and name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. That is it. I know it sounds so simple, but what you are doing is giving your brain sensory data from the present moment. And the brain can't be fully in a spiral and fully present at the same time. So this technique works by pulling your nervous system out of the past or the future and dropping it in the here, right now, where it is actually safe. Tool 5, talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend. This one also sounds simple, and I know it does not sound like a tool, but stay with me. If your best friend called you and said she was spiraling, that she felt worthless, that she did not deserve to get better, what would you say to her? Would you agree with her? Would you say, you're right, you probably don't deserve it? No. You would be gentle. You would tell her the truth. You would remind her of who she actually is. Now do that for yourself. When that negative voice shows up, talk back to it the way you would talk to someone you love. Not to deny what you are feeling, but to tell yourself the truth about who you are, even when the spiral is lying to you. I started doing this even when I did not believe it. I would say it out loud. I am loved. I am worthy of healing. My sister would want this for me. And at first it felt hollow and maybe even a little untrue. But the more I said it, the more it started to land, the more my brain started to believe it. And the brain hears everything you say to yourself. The brain is gullible. Feed it something worth believing. Tool 6, resourcing. This is a somatic tool and it is one of my favorites. When the spiral gets loud, you think of a specific memory or a specific place or a specific person that makes you feel safe. Not happy necessarily, just safe. Maybe it's a memory of a quiet Sunday morning. Maybe it is your grandmother's kitchen. Maybe it's the way a particular song makes you feel. Or maybe it's the image of God holding your person close. You close your eyes and bring that image fully into your mind. You feel it in your body. You stay there for 2 or 3 minutes. What you are doing is giving your nervous system a resource. A real felt experience of safety that it can return to when the world feels too loud. My resource is the image of my sister at peace. Not sick, not hurting, not scared, at rest, held by God. I do not know exactly what that looks like, but I know that I believe she is in God's heart. And holding that image when the spiral starts does something in my body that I cannot fully explain, but I completely trust it. Now, I want to end this episode with my favorite part, something that I think is going to reframe this whole thing for you. Grief is your superpower. I know that might sound like the kind of thing people put like on a coffee mug and maybe you roll your eyes out, but hear me out. Before I lost my sister, I was moving through life on autopilot. I took things for granted. I moved fast. I did not stop to feel things fully. I did not even love people as loudly as I wanted to because I assumed there would always be more time. And then she was gone. And seeing death that close, losing someone that suddenly, that completely, it cracked me open in a way that nothing else could have. And what came out of that crack was something I had never had before. Presence, real, full, eyes open presence. I see sunsets now and I feel them. I hug my kids and I hold it a little longer. I tell the people I love that I love them because I know now with every part of me that tomorrow is not promised. I have a hunger to become a better person every single day, not because I have to, but because I get to. Because she does not get to. I am living for the both of us, for me and my sister. That is not something that was available to the version of me that had not been through grief. The depth I have now, the appreciation, the fire, the purpose, the willingness to sit in hard conversations and help other people through their dark seasons, all of that came from the worst thing that ever happened to me. Your pain is not wasted. Your grief is not just something to survive. It is something that is building you, shaping you, making you into someone who can look another person in the eye and say, I know how dark it gets. I have been there and I want to walk with you while you find your way back to the light. That right there is a superpower, and it came wrapped in the worst packaging imaginable. But it is yours and no one can take it from you. Grief does not get to have the last word in your story. You do. You have control over that. Before I let you go, I want to say a few things to you. Your mind is not your enemy. It is just a mind that has been through a lot and needs some new tools and some new truth to hold on to. You do not have to believe every thought you think. You're allowed to question the voice in your head. You're allowed to ask it where it came from. You're allowed to tell it that it is wrong. God cares about what happens in your mind. Romans 12:2 is proof of that. He did not send his son Jesus just to come save your soul. He sent his son to transform the way we think. And that transformation is available to you right now. Not when you have it together, not when the grief is less, right now, in the middle of it, in the thick of it. And I want you to remember this. The woman who is deep in the spiral right now, the one who believes she cannot make it without her person, the one who feels guilty for wanting a better life, the one who thinks she is too broken to change, she is not stuck forever. She is just in a season, and seasons change. No season is permanent. You are stronger than the thoughts that are telling you otherwise, and the proof is that you are here, listening to this, still fighting, still choosing to show up for yourself even when it is hard. That is not weakness. That is the most powerful thing in the world. Next episode, we are moving into step 4 of the grief protocol. Find your words. Now that we have started to regulate the nervous system, feel our emotions, and quiet the spiral in our minds, it is time to give your grief a voice. We are going to talk about why grief needs to be expressed, not just felt, about the power of saying the unsayable out loud, about journaling, talking, creating, and all the ways that getting grief out of your head and into the world starts to move it through you in a whole new way. If you have ever felt like you did not know how to explain what you are going through, or like no one around you really understands, that episode is for you. If something here helped, that means your nervous system felt a little safety today. Follow the CalmSphere podcast. Leave a 5-star review if you loved this episode and tell me what you're taking with you. Remember, by listening, you are taking one step toward the life you deserve. I will meet you right here next time.